Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tim, and I know it has been a hot minute since the last episode, but we are finally continuing on today. Take two. Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name is Tim, and I know it has been a hot minute since our last episode, but today we are finally continuing on with episode 5 of Recording with No Budget. I've got the vocals recorded for my track now. I didn't really document that for you guys. I just kind of felt like there's enough channels on YouTube with people walking you through every single step of their process. And I know that's kind of what I'm doing with this series, but I wanted to focus on stuff that I thought was a little bit more interesting. So today we're going to be talking about the final mix of the tune. So I'm going to get my headphones on, we're going to jump into Reaper, and I'm going to show you what I got going on. All right, here we are, and what we're looking at here on screen, you can see up here at the top, I've got lead vocal 1, backing vocal 1, and then over here you can see the waveforms for each one. If I pull, let's look at lead vocal 1. See how that jumps out to a whole bunch more waveforms? The way I record vocals, and the way a lot of people, I'm told, record vocals, this works pretty well for me, is to do a whole bunch of takes of each part of the song. Now, some people are going to argue you should play the whole thing straight through and make it one live performance, and that's great if you've got the pipes that can handle that. I do not. I'm not a professional singer. So what I do is I took each verse, each chorus, the bridge, each section of the song, and I looped it. And I went through and I just sang and sang and sang and sang each one 6, 8, 10, 12 times until I finally felt like I got a real good, comfortable feeling, well-intoned, intentioned take. And then what I did is I went back through. Let me blow this up a little bit better so you can see what's going on. Let's just look at like my first phrase in the song here. Let me highlight that and we'll turn a loop on. And I'll show you the first bit of the song. Sounds like this. Now that we're through, life is not the same. Love to you was just some game. All right, so let me take out everything. Let's just solo the vocal and listen to that right there. So now you can see here it says take 7 of 7 right here at the top of the waveform. Now I've got 7 takes obviously of this phrase of the song. I went through the entire verse, I broke it up into smaller phrases, and then I just cycle through each take until I find the one that I think sounds the best, that has the best intonation, my pitch is good, and has the phrasing that I want, and just has the overall feel. And I just build each section of the song that way. You can see here, this is take 7 of 7. I can play a take 1. Now that we're through, life is not the same. And I went to take 2. Now that we're through, life is not the same. Love to you was just some game. Now that we're through, life is not the same. Love to you was just some game. And you can hear some now, like kind of artifacts and things in my voice in each take. They were subtle differences, but really, I feel like if you're going to release a song to the world, nitpick it. Nitpick it to death. And then for me, the take that felt best in this phrase was number 7. You can see over here in the next phrase, I did take 5. And down here, it's 15 of 17. There weren't actually 17 takes of that part, but some of my files overlapped, so it kind of stacks them on top of each other. And so my actual takes didn't start on there till the number 11. But then so really there was only about 7 of that phrase as well. So that's where it says 15 of 17, but it's really like take 5 of 7. and just built through the entire song that way. You can see this went on and on and on. Some of the phrases I did a few more takes than others. Some of them, instead of 6 or 7, I did 8, 10, 11, 12 takes. The second verse of this song, for some reason, took me forever. It says that I only did 6 takes of each part, 5 takes. That's a lie. It was more like 22 or 23. I just kept deleting and starting over from scratch. You ever have that moment where you know the words, and for some reason, as soon as it hits that part of the song, you go, I just could not get the words out correctly to save my life on that one. But I finally did. I finally got some takes that I was happy with, and that's what ended up here in the finished track. Let me shrink this down so it's just looking at one waveform. I want to show you a couple cool little tricks that I put in here on the bridge. Let me look at my trim. Okay, so I put a little bit of automation here on the reverb that I put on the vocal. You can hear there's eternity. You hear that little bit of echo, just a tiny little bit of slap back, helped it make it feel a little more natural, sit in with the other instruments better. But you can see here on the screen, this purple line kind of goes up and then holds and comes back down. For the end of the bridge that leads into the guitar solo, I kind of wanted the vocal to just kind of wash out into echo. And that sounded like this. But it sure isn't me. See how my voice kind of goes up, so I thought the echo should kind of expand with that. So that's how I did that. I just automated. Reaper will let you do automation fairly easily. I'm sure most other DAWs do that. I haven't played with a lot of others, but they've all got to have these settings. These are pretty basic things that you can do in any DAW, and it's all free. And I did that again here at the end of the song. Except I kind of had to take one little phrase and put it out on its own little track here. This last little phrase where I say, look at what you did! Because that did, where I'm holding that out, overlaps the beginning of the chorus. Cold and lonely. And so I had to break them onto separate tracks so that I could have the reverb expanding on that one word, but not on the chorus that comes in right after it. Gave them some overlap, and I thought it worked a lot better in that part of the song. Okay, so some of the other plugins I used, almost everything is something that came included with my DAW, included with Reaper. There's a plugin here called Stereo Width that I used on one of the guitar tracks, and I used the compressor that comes built into Reaper. It's not much to look at, but it works really well. It gives you all the settings you're going to find in any compressor you ever need. And the EQ. Reaper's EQ is really nice. You can just add as many bands as you need. What I did here, let me talk about this for a minute. This is something I put on my rhythm guitar bus. I had 2 rhythm guitar parts spread to the left and right channels. I put them on a bus so that I could control them together, and I put an EQ on it. Now, one of the things that I was running into was my bass guitar and my vocals were clashing a lot for space in the mid-range with the guitars. So what I did was I took each of those things. Let's go back to, let's look at the bass guitar here. Solo out my bass. And I'll recreate this the way I did it. What I did was I added an instance of my EQ at the very end of the chain on the bass guitar. And then what I did was I changed it to a band pass type of filter. You can see how that makes that kind of arch. I take the width of it down to about 50, about 0.5. And then I just soloed that track. Let's jump out here a little bit and listen to some of that. not really hearing much because you're just listening to a very narrow part of the frequency. And then what I did was I just started sweeping. You're just hearing very narrow bits of the bass frequencies. And then what I did was I kind of found something. See how that kind of has a nice kind of clickiness to it. You wouldn't want that to be your entire track, but I was looking for places where the attack of the notes was real crisp and where I was finding down here in the low part some of those better frequencies where you're getting some of the body of the bass itself. And I made a note of those on a piece of paper. Then I deleted this entirely. Didn't even keep it. Just removed it from the track. Over here on my guitar bus, my rhythm guitar bus, that's where you're seeing I put a little 3 dB cut at each one of those points where I found I wanted the bass to shine through a little bit more. I wanted the body of the bass and the attack of the note to come through. I put a cut at those places. Then I found 2 or 3 places with my lead and backing vocals where they were just kind of the sweet spot of each one of those tracks. I put a little cut right there on the guitars there. That meant the guitars kind of sat in the background and they kind of fill in around the vocals. So they're meshing together, but they're not fighting each other. And it takes a while to do that. If you're somebody that likes to just throw a mix together and set some levels and go on, you're going to be pulling your hair out at this because it takes an hour or two for me to really get everything dialed in on those things. But I was really happy with the overall result when I finally did get to the final mix. All right, so this is not the debut of the song now. We're not going to be premiering the song on this video. But I'm going to give you a little sample of, let's see, what do I want to give you? Let me give you the bridge leading into the guitar solo. Here we go. I would stay with you for eternity. I don't know who you love, but it sure isn't me. All right, that's it. That's all you get this time. This is not the debut of the song. You're going to have to come back when it's finally finished. Actually, it's kind of finished right now, but I just got some other stuff that I want to talk about and do in a couple of other videos before we get to the actual release of the song. So, stick around. If you guys haven't subscribed to the channel already, please do so. Please let your buddies know and have them come over and subscribe too. The more that we get on board, the more it helps me out, the more it enables me to keep doing this. And if you haven't followed me over on Instagram, it's at TimBMusician. I'm at BrownTE on Twitter and TimBMusician on TikTok. I'm just trying to get everywhere that I can possibly get. If you guys have any comments or questions you want to know about the stuff that I did in the video, please leave it down in the comments. And I will see you guys next time.